How many were killed, did they say?
Just under 1,000 dead and many, many times that wounded.
My heartless, Bill. Mere numbers always seem so unreal to me. At the sight of that cathedral, that very nearly drove me to my knees.
Oh, you're not heartless, son. I think you'll find when you visit the first hospital that you're anything but heartless.
Well, when are we due at the hospital?
As soon as you've seen enough here.
Well, let's keep walking. Because I haven't seen enough. And I won't have seen enough until I've seen it all. Every cottage and coal scuttle that's been destroyed here. Until I've seen so much that it will remain with me for all eternity. What has happened here will not be permitted to be forgotten.
This is Charles Carter of the BBC Home Service. In swift retaliation, Britain today bombed the German city of Cologne.
I've just seen the communique from the French underground about Madeleine being taken to Gestapo headquarters. I want you to know I am sorry.
Yes, I know. You said that last night.
What are you working on over here?
Some phony marine mines. Trying to get them to behave like the real thing.
Why don't you just use the real thing?
Well, it cost 100 times as much. Besides, a phony mine can cause a ship to divert just as quickly as a real one can. Just can't sink the damn thing, that's all.
Sounds frivolous to me. Assign it to somebody else.
Why?
Because I'm sending you to Canada. Back to Camp X.
Again, why?
Look, I don't have to justify my decisions to you or to anybody else. You helped to set up Camp X. I want you to make sure it's still an effective facility.
And when I've made sure that it's still an effective facility, when can I expect to return here?
When I decide you'll be more useful here than there, and not before. And when I'm convinced you're working, and not just mooning over...
Yes? Go on, please.
Evan, she's gone. She's finished. Try to accept it.
Granted. She's in their custody.
She'll never be out of their custody.
There have been escapes. She's not dead. I'll not have you talking about her as if she is.
Well, try to think of her as being in a coma. There's nothing that you or I or anybody else can do to bring her out of it. What happens to Madeleine now is out of our hands.
Now? These two gentlemen and I are very adept at this game. We shan't let you drown, although you think you may be drowning. And we shall repeat the process over and over again for as long as we have to. Are you going to force us to do that to you? Good. Let me explain something to you. A human being is only a human being as long as he or she has free will. some control over his or her destiny. You no longer have that control. Anything I tell these men to do to you, they will do, and you don't have the power to resist them. You no longer have any control over what is done to you. Ergo, you are no longer a human being. You are an object that I can act upon as I see fit to act upon it. It. No one expects courage from a thing. No one expects an it to display loyalty. Be reasonable for all her sakes. Let us help you. Put it back where you found it. Are you awake? Can you hear me? I didn't want you to fall asleep until I reminded you of what it is we want. All we want from you is to go back on the air, broadcasting to your friends just as before, though the information you will send them will be information we provide. Did you understand what I just said? Very well. Give it all some thought and see if our request doesn't disquieting sound, isn't it?
What are they doing to her?
I have no idea. But I probably ought to tell you that you could stop whatever it is they are doing to her any time you decide.
I don't understand.
The girl is 15. We suspect that the underground are using her as a courier. But that is essentially a very small matter in our scheme of things. If you would like that business stopped, all you have to do is say that you will cooperate. If you decide not to cooperate with us, then you decide for her, too.
I don't believe you. You're lying. I don't believe you.
You don't have to believe me. But it would be a shame if you didn't believe her.
No!
President now addresses the nation.
In the face of great perils never before encountered, our strong purpose is to protect and to perpetuate the integrity of democracy. That is our purpose and our pledge.
After the president's speech, he watched some of America's newest planes in maneuver in a demonstration given for him by the United States Air Force.
Okay. What happened to the planes?
I don't know what you're talking about.
3 United States Army Air Force transports, C-47s, left at an empty field near the Canadian border. Left for paint curability tests. Where are they now?
I thought they were supposed to stay there a whole year.
They were.
Well, it's only been 10 months, Mr. Donovan. You should tell your people not to be over anxious.
My people don't include the FBI and Army intelligence. We haven't got them on a leash. Shh.
Come on, honey.
We want to help, but our powers are not unlimited. Try to remember that.
I'll tell Mr. Stevenson. Is, President Roosevelt under a lot of pressure?
He is, but he's no stranger to that. No. What is it this time?
Amphibians.
Amphibians.
Yes.
Why amphibians?
We need them for our people to disembark from submarines.
To disembark from subs?
Yes.
You mean to tell me there's a sub in Lake Ontario?
I didn't say that.
No, thank God, you didn't say that. But if there's no subs, why do you need the amphibians? Second thought, don't answer that. Hate to ask a man to lie, and I sure than hell don't want you to tell me the truth. I don't think I could handle it.
Germany,
Yeah.
after the fall of
Popcorn?
France,
No thanks.
Amphibians?
of the British Isles.
You'll see.
Durch eure Schule wird die ganze Nation gehen.
Look at him. It's hard to believe he's real.
Nicht Deutschland! In uns marschiert Deutschland und hinter uns kommt Deutschland!
Oh, no, it's not.
Diesem Deutschland, den tut, wird heute Deutschland in stolzer Freude seine Söhne in euch.
Enough. Take her back.
Stand up! Look up! Check equipment! Mr. McCallion, what are you doing here, sir?
Checking the equipment, sir, as you said.
All right, don't crowd, huh? Up, count, and go. You haven't had any jump training.
Well, of course I have. Back in England.
You sure?
It's not the sort of thing one's liable to forget, Sergeant.
Might be the sort of thing one might lie about, though, sir.
Why in heaven's name would one do that?
Sure, I don't know, but I can't allow you to leave this aircraft until I know for certain you've had sufficient jump training.
You mean you didn't get the memo from Stevenson?
No, sir.
Well, not to worry. I'll get you a copy.
Thanks. Check equipment! Red light on! Come to the door! Green light on! Go! your knees bend when you laugh. Thanks. But I knew that. Everyone says that.
And things appear to be going from bad to worse.
As bad as all that.
Bad enough.
Transfer refused again?
Yes, but I'm beginning to anticipate that.
You won't.
I shall be stuck in this dreary little backwater until after we occupy England. And maybe even beyond that, for all I know.
If that's not the problem, what is it?
The woman. She's winning.
I don't believe it. How can she be winning?
She has said nothing.
You... Thank you.
I believe that she's trying to die. I mean, literally trying to die. And I believe that she's strong enough to do it, too.
I don't see where dying has anything to do with strength. Just sounds as if she's gone mad.
No, not mad. Not her. Not so far. We put together one of the cipher books we found in the farmhouse after the explosion. I think that perhaps that might give me a certain leeway.
To do what?
To allow her to win.
Hello. I know you don't remember me. Most of the times I've seen you, you've been unconscious or almost so. I'd generally bring you back here after they're done with you. And once, I was the one using the whip. I didn't enjoy that. You're really good. You know that? You're quite easily the best I've ever dealt with. I really don't like to hurt you, you know. Not at all. There ought to be some way we could work out, some way where I wouldn't have to hurt you so much. Some exchange. Don't you think we could come up with something like that?
Your new clothes are in the bag. Change when you reach cover. Then go down the road till you see a church. Go through the graveyard to the village. You know the convent, huh? In the rear, you'll find a low building with a glass roof.
What about you?
Now go.
You can put that out. When I was a boy, I used to work in a stable, cleaning it out for the man who employed my father. One day while I was working, I found a spider web. So I took my broom and I brushed it away. The next morning when I came back, the spider had put a new one up. So I brushed that away too. This went on for a long, long time. I brushed away the web. The spider built a new one. In a little while, I noticed that the web had begun to change shape. It was no longer regular and precise and mathematical. It had become unbalanced and twisted. After that, every time that I swept the web away, the new one built was more twisted, strange, and unnatural. Eventually, the web was nothing more than one or two strands going off in various directions. And the rest of the web was simply one huge lump. I had taken away hope, you see, from that base, useless creature. Without hope, we become warped and crippled creatures. I've no wish to do that to you. But it is well within my capability to do so. Besides, you have less reason now than ever to keep fighting. Obviously, the underground heard the sirens and all the rushing about and the commotion. By now, they will have told England that you have escaped. And England will expect you to start transmitting again. We will not disappoint England in that respect.
They'll know it's not me transmitting.
But suppose it is you transmitting.
It won't be me. It'll never be me.
Eventually, after a long, long time, I killed that spider.
Now, tell me about Camp X.
Well, it's all better than ever.
In Washington and New York, is Hoover giving us a little more elbow room?
Oh, yes, sir. Donovan doesn't know how you accomplished that, but he's very grateful. Said to tell you.
I don't know how the president managed it either. I'm very grateful to him. Just hope it goes on that way.
Do you think America's any closer to coming in?
Oh, they'll be in, all right. Not quite as soon as we might hope, but a great deal sooner than they expect.
I'd be good in the field. You know that.
Yes, I know.
And if you know that, why?
Don't you understand? I go to great lengths not to get to know most of the agents we send over. The average life expectancy of an agent behind enemy lines is 6 months. Now, making the decisions involved with total strangers is hard enough. But making those decisions when you're close to people and you're risking their lives, those decisions are almost impossible to make and quite impossible to live with. Did I tell you why I knew Madeline before she was recruited?
Well, no, you didn't.
Well, she wouldn't remember. She was much too young. And I wouldn't have remembered, except I was going through her file in detail. About 20 years ago in India, I went to the house of a French diplomat. He introduced his daughter, And I remember thinking she was the most beautiful, the most serene child I'd ever seen. She wrote children's stories.
Did she? Oh, she'd be good at that. She'd be very good at that.
Yes, is it important?
Yes, sir, I believe it is.
Go ahead.
We've received word from the French underground that the agent, codenamed Madeleine, seems to have managed to escape from Gestapo custody.
I'm really not sure all this is necessary, Mrs. Wainwright.
Probably not. But I'd rather be here if and when Madeleine starts sending.
If indeed it is Madeleine. It could be a trick on their part. Mr. Stevenson cautioned us about that.
I told her how to send. I believe I'll be able to recognize her hand on the key.
Believing you can do something is not precisely a guarantee.
Mr. Poindexter, I believe in the King, the Church of England, and Lydia Pinkham's. Not one of them comes with a guarantee, but they all work.
Here it is. Are you impressed?
I've seen rooms with radios before.
This is where you will be broadcasting from.
You know, I will not.
Whether it is you or that man over there masquerading for you, the point is the English will think that you are free once again.
You'll not be able to deceive them.
Normally, no, I would not be able to. But we managed to recover your cipher book from the farm. Gives us a certain advantage. Leave her. Without you on the key, I think we can deceive them. With you on the key, I know we can. I prefer knowing. We've had our battles, you and I. It's usually been a draw. But I'm going to win this one. We both know that, don't we?
Hold on, Mr. Evans, Professor, swing those legs, swing those legs. Move, that's it, down the ropes, that's it, there, now pick your feet up, let's move, come on. Leave the helmet, sir, leave the helmet.
Quite determined, isn't he?
When wasn't he about everything?
Move it. You know, there's something going on in Stockholm that he might be considered for.
What are you talking about?
Come on, up on your feet.
You remember that Niels chap you were so concerned about, Niels Bohr?
Niels Bohr? Yes, what about him?
Well, to all intents and purposes, he's disappeared. Now then, in several communiques, we've heard that they're shifting heavy machinery from France to Scandinavia. Now, it's just the sort of machinery he'd need for his nuclear research business.
That doesn't make any sense. If he's doing research for the Germans, they keep him working in Germany.
Well, according to our scientists, they can't.
Why not?
Well, they say he can't work in Germany because the Germans can't generate enough electricity for his needs.
The Ruhr Valley can't?
Correct. So they're building him a new plant in Norway.
Are you telling me the whole Ruhr Valley can't generate enough electricity for these experiments?
Not that, and continue the war effort.
Can we bomb this plant?
No. No, it's at the base of a mountain. No way to get at it.
Where does Bacalian come into all this?
Well, he's still on the payroll of the studios. Sweden is neutral. No great trick to send him over there as a set designer to research for a forthcoming film. It's the perfect cover.
Cover for what?
Keep an eye on Niels Bohr.
Ah. I don't think he'd take the job.
Why not?
You got some idea about helping Madeline?
Well, then I think he will do it.
Why?
Because most of the information about this machinery came from Madeline before she was captured.
I see. So he'd be finishing off what Madeline started.
Exactly.
Now, again.
Mrs. Wainwright, you better listen to this.
Madeline's identification?
Yes, ma'am.
Call Stevenson.
Is it her?
Can't tell on the basis of the identification. I'll have to acknowledge and listen then.
Shouldn't we wait for Stevenson?
If he wants to know she's alive, you'll want me to acknowledge. No, it's doubtful anyway.
Wait a second. We don't want to seem too anxious. And when you do start again, remember she's been in custody. Her hand will be rusty. Her pace will not be too fast. She may make an occasional mistake.
Yes, sir.
Begin.
Tell her to stand by.
Sir, they want us to stand by.
We wait.
Was it her?
Don't believe so. Can't say for certain. She's been through so much, it's possible her method, her meter might have changed.
Mrs. Wainwright, I know you can only give us an estimation, but what do you think the chances are that it was Madeline? 10 to 1, 5 to 1, what?
50-50.
What's she sending? What kind of information?
About a large truck convoy.
Well, they'd give out that kind of information in a second.
Well, is that the sort of thing she'd normally send?
Yes, not her job to evaluate information. Just send it. We're the ones to say how valuable it's supposed to be.
True.
How good was her identification code?
Perfect.
Well, so it would be if they had access to her cipher book.
End transmission.
Sir?
Tell them you are under surveillance and must stop transmitting at once. Tell them you will contact them tomorrow, standard schedule.
Perhaps if we were to ask...
Wait. Surveillance. Transmission ends. Resume tomorrow.
standard schedule. Sounds as if she's in trouble.
So we?
Maybe not.
Open. They are not convinced. But they are not unconvinced either.
We have to assume that they've managed to break Madeline, if indeed she's still alive.
Neither of you seem willing to consider the possibility that she's free, that she did manage to escape.
I'll consider anything if I can prove it. That's why we're speaking to you.
Oh, I'm sorry. I don't follow.
We have to ask Madeline a really personal question. You see, if indeed they have broken her, whether she's there or not, they'll be able to answer any question we ask about her background, about her family, her friends, her school days, her job, and so on. But there's no way they can know anything about you, too. So the question we must ask Madeline has to be something really intimate.
And let's not have any schoolboy notions about protecting the lady's reputation. Discretion's not the better part of valor in this case.
Suppose now I remember something and she doesn't. Well, suppose she's simply forgotten. I mean, we could assume the Germans are running the radio when, in fact, something I happen to recall, she happens not to.
It's not a foolproof plan. It's just the only plan we have.
Tell me something that's a part of you that I can keep to myself, very selfishly.
When I was a little girl, I used to dream of growing up to be a gypsy princess. So I could dance about a campfire with ever so many gold bracelets up and down my arms, with my feet wet with the dew and my face.
All right, I've got your question.
You're quite sure it's not something she might have told them?
Quite sure.
Or something she might have forgotten.
She won't have forgotten.
We go.
Tell them to stand by for a question.
They want to ask us a question.
You can live to be 90. Or your present age plus 30 seconds. It's your choice.
Who dances about the fire? Is that it?
Yes.
We must have an answer within 15 seconds.
They want to know who dances about the fire.
An Arabian princess dances about the fire.
Transmission reads, an Arabian princess dances about the fire.
That's not right. You said gypsy princess.
One word difference. You're certain the word was gypsy?
Absolutely certain. Well, we have an answer, which means she's alive. But our answer was partially incorrect, which is her way of informing us that she's under their control.
Send, welcome home, Madeline.
They say, welcome home, Madeline.
Evan? Evan, I have news.
About Madeline?
No, about all of us. The Japanese have bombed the American naval base at Pearl Harbor, and the Germans have declared war on the United States.
Which means?
Which means we're no longer in this war all alone. Now the Americans are in it with us.